Good morning, and welcome to Transforming Vision to Reality to make the most for your PRM deployment. I'm Beth Kaplan, Senior Customer Success Manager with Salesforce.com, and co-host for this session, along with Susan Gausch from Salesforce's Professional Services team. Before I introduce you our guest speakers today, I want to share with you Salesforce.com's safe harbor statement that you may have seen a few times by now, and also encourage you to go to our website, www.salesforce.com, for additional information. We're lucky to be joined here today by our guest speakers from Avaya, Margaret Artlip and Sean Jean. Sean is Avaya's IT practice lead for the Salesforce.com program, and that's a team comprised of over 45 people. His background in strategic solutions and business development are a driving force this year for Avaya's success, as well as our second guest speaker, Margaret, who has been with Avaya for over 13 years now in a variety of roles, all leading to her senior leadership role within worldwide channel operations. Their leadership, along with Avaya's drive for success, has created a high-touch, channel-centric model. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Margaret.
Good morning, all 10 of you. I'm very glad that you took time out on your Friday morning when everybody else is sneaking out of here, so we appreciate it. And I hope you walk away with some great learnings from this. If you can walk away with just one thing to either avoid or to do to make your PRM project successful, then I think we've been successful. And we start out. That's how our project started. All right. There we go. Thank you. I think we're good. So first I want to tell you just a little bit about Avaya. We are a premier provider of business communication solutions for enterprises large and small. In addition, we have a very large services arm that encompasses over 50% of our revenues, where we help people install and implement and maintain their Avaya solutions. We're 18,000 plus employees. We're a very global company with a soon-to-be global channel program. We'll talk about that in a minute. From a Salesforce.com perspective, we've got, actually these are old numbers, we're up over 6,000 users, 5,000 plus partner users, and close to 1,000 internal users, and expect to be probably close to doubling that in the next few months with some exciting changes that are coming our way. From a product perspective, we run the gamut of CRM, PRM, ideas, mobile, content, really I think almost everything but Service Cloud. So a little bit about our PRM, or really our overall Salesforce.com solution in the cloud. Again, from a CRM perspective, we now have our full pipeline, leads, campaigns, forecasting, et cetera, all through the pipeline within the cloud. And then from a PRM perspective, all by the way that we've done all within the last year. From a PRM perspective, we've got everything from partner profiles, so master data information, to leads and opportunities, to mobile, to content, to you name it. Again, really bringing the entire sales program into the cloud, into Salesforce.com. So we're real excited. It's funny, we were here speaking last year, and we had this very small startup, and to be at the size that we're at already is pretty exciting, and a lot more growth to come. So a little bit about our channel. We've got over 4,000 partners globally, a whole mix of resellers, distributors, et cetera, same as I'm sure many of you. While we have 4,000 now, and obviously our intent is to grow revenue and to grow the channel, we've got some new leadership in that have really started to push the high-touch channel-centric concept. But we now have an unusual opportunity to maybe double our partner force within the next couple of months, which many of you may have heard that we have a potential acquisition of Nortel Enterprise that's just working its way through all of the approvals and such. And should that get approved in the December or January timeframe, then we're going to more than double our partner base pretty instantly. So it's an exciting time to be at Avaya and be part of the channel program. Right now, in the November-December timeframe right now, we've got 4 to 5 regionalized, very different channel programs. So a very big challenge for us to have managed as we worked through RPM installation. Another exciting announcement that we just had, though, is that Avaya is going to a brand new global program in the January-February timeframe called Avaya Connect. And we're going to tell you a little bit about that simply because I think some of the things that we did there are what are making us now successful in our in our PRM adventure. Our new goal, the new leadership that we've brought in, has now really targeted Avaya to be high-touch, channel-centric, and our goal is 80 to 85% of our business now to move through the channel by next year. And I already mentioned our new global program that's coming. So what a difference a year makes when I think Dreamforce to Dreamforce. We were at about 240 users. We still have our 4 or 5 regional programs. It took us a couple weeks to onboard a partner. Today, we're on one single global, keyword for us at Avaya, global PRM system. We're well over 5,000 users and soon to grow that pretty dramatically. And then we have our new global channel program releasing in February. And as you can see, we cut our onboarding time from 2 weeks to 2 days just with this implementation of PRM. So very exciting. So our journey, a few lessons learned for you. We actually came out of Dreamforce 2007, and I think you all have got a sense of this. You kind of come out and go, yeah, I'm ready. I mean, you get out of here, you're so fired up and ready to go. So we all came back fired up and ready to go and immediately kicked off our project. And we started to go like this. A couple of lessons learned really from that. If you don't have the executive oversight and the executive leadership backing you, it's really tough to get things done. The other thing we didn't have was the ability to make global decisions. We just weren't empowered to make those decisions. Quite frankly, we didn't have leadership at the time that really believed in a channel program. It was a little bit of talk and not a lot of action behind it. So about 6 months into our project, we kind of hit a stall point. And management, I think, did the right thing, the painful but right thing, and said, we're stopping. We need to reevaluate, reinvest, restart. As that was all going on, unbeknownst to many of us behind the scenes, there was a complete new leadership structure coming in with a new worldwide channels vice president who was very channels focused. Our vice president of sales, Todd Abbott, really got on the PRM, the channel train. So suddenly we were starting to have all this excitement around PRM and around channels, and the ability now to start to get empowered to make some decisions around global process change and global architecture change. And more importantly, to start talking value proposition to our partners. It's great that it's useful to Avaya. It's far more important that it was useful to our partners. So we really sat down with Sean and our IT team. Some of those folks are here. And sat down, and together we ironed out what that value proposition was to the business, what that value proposition was to our partners. And we had to sit down with the partners and say, tell us what you want. Tell us what your issue is. Issue number 1, Avaya, it's 17 systems for me to log on and do business with you. And I got to put my same information in all the time. It's like you don't even know me. So start there. We're okay if you start at the foundation. We're okay that we don't get it all at once, as long as you tell us what's coming and you make it easier to do business with us. And that's what we needed to hear, was that we really could start at the foundation. So our early days, as I mentioned, it was really an IT-sponsored initiative. There was no executive backing. There was really no business value proposition. There was no partner involvement. It was really, not the right way to start things. No diss to our IT team. We had no business sponsorship, and we had no partner sponsorship. We had come from a very customized kind of mothership type of application in our legacy environment that maybe 10% of our partners were using. So we had about a 10% adoption rate, and we had put all this money and all this time into this heavy-duty installation. And we had a real lackluster support for investment in the channel at the time. I mentioned no influence to drive change in the regions. If you can come out of here with one thing, it's that you've got to have that ability to influence and make decisions across regions, not decisions with consensus or as consensus, but decisions that you as a leader of your project can make. And you've got to have that leadership supporting you to say, hey, they're here, they're designing, they made a decision, you're going with it, okay? And then we had a lot of opinions, but not many people that wanted to sit down at the table and own anything. So that was kind of our meltdown. So the jump start that we got. So, I mentioned how kind of lackluster our channel program was. One of our colleagues, I'm going to try and get this quote right because it's just hilarious. One of our colleagues called it, our channel program, the gnat on the fly on the butt of the cow. That's kind of where we were. So the jump start, we got the new leadership in, high-touch channel-centric model, worldwide VP of channels, and suddenly those of us in the PRM channel world were, woohoo, we're it again. We're cool again. So now we had this kind of mission that our worldwide VP of channels said, I don't care about pretty. So he kind of coined this phrase, go ugly early. And we dove into a pilot. And this pilot, we really focused, we challenged ourselves. We gave ourselves a 6-week time to turn it around. But more importantly, we said, and we were very direct in our communications, we said, we're going after 40 of our largest U.S. partners for this pilot. So we really want to get some early adopters and get some champions out there. But we're going to build at the foundation first. We're going to start down here, not do the top of the pyramid, but really the base of the pyramid first. But our goal was really to globalize within 3 months. So we brought in, obviously, our strongest people, Sean, Don, folks like that. Really important that we had dedicated resources. And we're actually running into challenges now because we've lost a little bit of that dedication. It's really important that people don't have another job they've got to go do. They've got to be able to focus on this effort. It's a big deal, right? It's a big deal to get your channel enabled. We also brought in the experts, our Salesforce.com folks, from a professional services perspective to really get us going. They know it, they live it, they breathe it, use the experts. And I think probably another key to success was that we actually sat down and defined what success would look like. We didn't want to have it be a prototype. We really, as I mentioned, wanted to focus on that foundational aspect first, so getting to know our partners and getting data into the system from a profile perspective, business planning. We started out with really partner profiles, business planning, those kind of annualized things, market development fund request and such. And then we wanted to really prove it works. So while it was a pilot, again, we included real business, real partners, and we really trained our users out there so that we could get those champions in early, both our CAMs, our channel account managers, and our partners. Communication was key. It's interesting, our partners kept saying, just tell us. It's okay if we're not going to take it to here in the first year. Tell us where you're going. Tell us what to expect. Be honest about it. Meet your dates. Meet your iterations. And we're going to be there with you. Prove it. It was all about prove it, because the trust factor with Avaya at the time was a little low. We just really hadn't focused on that channel. Who wants to go to 17 systems to do business with a company? I mean, the fact that they were still doing business with us was incredible. So build the foundation. We built the foundation. We really moved from foundational into a lot of sales focus, content, onboarding, lead and opportunity management. By the way, in the midst of all this, we also brought on CRM for our direct business. So now the entire CRM pipeline was in Salesforce. And then finally, just our most recent release, we had full-on opportunity management, Avaya-generated leads to our partners, all of that good stuff. So now our partners can truly go in what we call PRM Partner View. That's our branded portal for them. They can go in and they can fully manage their business, their leads that they generate, their leads that Avaya generates, their business planning, their marketing development funds, their business development funds. They really can manage their overall program. And where we're going next is really around, with the new program, we've got new incentives coming out, so it's all incentive-driven. So guess what? Our adoption now is at like 80% plus because they have a reason to go in there. That's how they get their incentives. They've got to move their leads and opportunities through the pipeline and get them closed to get their incentives. It's that carrot and stick thing. It helps to have a little carrot to hold out there. And really, the whole point here was to drive value. We had laid out this value proposition to the partner, with the partner, key. They got to be involved. And, again, sticking to it. We've been able to stick to it. So some critical success factors. Joint sponsorship between IT and the business. Sean's going to talk a little bit more about this in a minute, but we had this great approach that one of our consultants brought in called a conference room pilot. And literally, we don't have a meeting about this program. We don't have a discussion about process or design or build without both people being at the table, IT and the business. I think that's been one of our biggest success factors in moving this as quickly as we have. Again, an empowered team. We instituted a 24-hour decision-making concept, and if leadership of our executives could not be at those meetings, we were empowered to make the final decision. We weren't waiting for them, and we had that support. Simplify. It's probably all I need to say there. We are one complicated company to do business with, let me tell you, and so we really, back to the empowerment, we were empowered to simplify, to make change across the globe, and to bring the globe together into one program and one set of processes. We were given the ability to challenge. There's folks like Sean and I and Susan from Salesforce, it's okay that we go, hey, wait a minute. Just because we do it today doesn't mean we need to do it tomorrow. So explain to me why I need to do something custom when I can use the out-of-the-box application. So we challenged every decision to go custom. Dates were critical. One of our most recent large rollout was all around opportunity management and opportunity registration. And at the end of September, we had a hard and fast date because our existing lead management tool was going away. So, we were forced to stick to these dates for a lot of reasons. Interactive design and build. Again, I mentioned Sean's going to talk a little bit more about that in a couple of minutes. Bi-weekly checkpoints. Actually, I think now we have every week checkpoints, or 2 or 3 times a week checkpoints, or it's back to that concept of dedicated people on your project. If that's all they're focused on, their mind isn't taken away, things get done, and they get done on the timeline that you've laid out. And then I mentioned the commitment to the decision making was really helpful to us. So the results of our pilot, you can see some of the comments that our partners and our internal users had. We really created a proving ground. We started to earn that trust with our partners because we did what we said we were going to do. And we did it in the timeline we said we were going to do it. And we involved them. We had some things around ideas for iPods to get people really thinking, give them a little, again, carrot and stick to get them thinking and telling us about, different ideas and different things they wanted. I think because we started with 40 of our larger U.S. partners, we really generated not just early adopters, but early champions. They are now our big champions, and they're like, this is exciting. We're really excited for the next release. When's it coming? Can I give you some ideas? Bring them on. And then we just, this really established momentum. So we had a release in the March-April timeframe. We had another release in August. We had another release in October. We now have a release at the end of January. So we're moving this thing quickly. And by the way, I left Dreamforce in 2007, went, there's no way you guys can do this in 6 months. I said this to Susan and to Bob and to our Salesforce team. There's no way. We're too complicated. Well, they proved me wrong, so thank you. So upping the ante. We're really definitely keeping the momentum, I think, especially with our new announcement for the channel program. We really have moved out of pilot and truly into transformation. We are really in the process of transforming our channels business, both with the support of PRM, the support of Salesforce.com, and with our whole new channel program. We're in the process of a project now that touches Salesforce.com and a whole circle of applications surrounding that to link everything together so that our partners can go to one place. They don't care what's behind the scenes and do business with Avaya. We met our global needs, and we're, again, crossing our fingers, and things are looking good for our February rollout to meet the new global programs. A challenge, though, was that we had to design and develop this over the last year for existing regional programs, knowing that we've now got a global one coming. So it was a bit of a challenge to make sure that you're caring for the current while building for the future. So that's where some hard decisions have to be made about, do we really need to automate that if it's only going to be 3 or 4 more months? And that's where that courage to challenge really stepped up. We coordinated, and we continue to coordinate with worldwide stakeholders, both within Avaya and outside in our partner realm. And let me tell you, the data conversion, if you think it's big, triple what's in your mind right now. It's way bigger than you're ever going to think it is, no matter how many times you tell yourself. So you need to be prepared for that data conversion if you're coming from old systems in. Or even if you're not, that data's got to get in there somehow. It was way bigger than we expected. So we had to handle that. Oh, and then, by the way, in the middle of all this, we did CRM, too. Did we mention that? So we've actually got the ability now to collaborate on deals with our direct and our indirect, which is just exciting. We can have an internal salesperson and a partner salesperson viewing and working the same deal, but with the visibility only to what they need to be visible to, et cetera. So that's kind of a little bit about where we've been. And Sean's going to talk now a little bit about things that worked.
Great. Thanks, Margaret.
Thank you.
I don't know if I can do this.
It's the one on the, just click right there.
All right, good deal. Thank you.
Don't do what I did.
Thank you for that. So let me kind of, I know everybody's tired, you've been here a while. Let me net this out into 3 things. I'll call the 3 grand essentials that I think, you heard kind of Margaret allude to a lot of these that are required to have a successful delivery. I think number 1, you need a governance model, a hard and fast governance model, and people need to understand how their voice can be heard and how their position can be vetted and a decision made very quickly with the facts. So number 1, governance model. Number 2, transparency and trust. We're not business, IT, an SI, Salesforce. No, we're one team. We have to operate as one team or it will fail. We all have the same goal, and we need to trust each other, ultimately. Sounds kind of pie in the sky. it is essential, and I'm going to tell you how we did that. We need to all be on the same page with what we're doing. Yeah. I don't know why it's not building, so I'll continue on. Did I? Was it? Number 3 is facts. You need to have the facts about what you're trying to do. You can't have opinions. You got to kind of try to mitigate the opinions, and you got to have the facts on the table so that you can make decisions. And everybody has to know what the facts are. And if they don't agree with them, they can express their opinion. So let me thread these together. So how we approached it was we used a conference room pilot approach. Conference room pilot approach basically says we're going to have our SI, we're going to have our business, we're going to have our IT folks in the same room. We're going to put up, here's the business process that we're looking to deliver. Here's what the tool does out of the box. How do those match up? Do we really need to make any changes? Of course you do, right? So, okay, so we need to make a change. Okay, why do we need to make that change? Let's ask that question, and let's figure it out. Maybe we don't need to make that change. Maybe we do need to make that change. Maybe we need to make a different change that we never thought of, right? So it's as much, if not more, about understanding your process and understanding where you are today and where you need to be and the steps to get there as it is about the tool, right? We went into that kind of eyes wide open for our release 2, 3, and we're in the middle of release 4. So what we did is, in these conference room pilots, is from an organizational perspective, the governance model was we had one central person for each, we'll call it a work packet, or capability leads is what we call them. So for example, someone might have deal registration, right? They own it, right? They own deal registration globally. Their job is to go out and work with the global team and have that global team at the table, and they're going to represent the global team. There are going to be times where they're not all going to agree, right? So when we have those times, we then need to look to the capability lead, and we need to say, okay, we've got an issue here. We need to gather the facts, right? Let's get it on the table. What's the level of effort to deliver this? What are the timeline implications? And what's the business case? And when we all look at that, if we can't come to terms on it, and sometimes we didn't, most of the time we did. Most of the time, everyone was fairly reasonable. When we put the facts on the table, when we put it up there, would say, okay, here's the impact from a cost and timeline perspective to do this certain bit of enhancement. Here's the business case. Do we really need this? Yeah, absolutely, and it was kind of intuitive. And when I say business case, it doesn't have to be quantitative down to the nth degree. Most of these are logical. Most of them are intuitive. Qualitative's okay, right? We should have a reasonable conversation, and that's kind of where trust comes in, right? So CRPs, conference room pilots, sit there, business process, application, what requirements do we need? When we would define the requirements, we actually used Salesforce. We used the tool to help deliver the tool. So we used a project management capability where every single requirement was given a number. It had a description, it had a level of effort, and it had a business case, rough business case around it, right? So we knew exactly what each requirement would take and what we would get from it. So prioritizing those requirements, which my money's on you're going to have to do, right? Especially if you're on a timeline or you have a fixed budget, you're going to have things that come up that people will be very passionate about that they'll want in, and maybe those things should be in, right? But you can't know if they should be in or not in unless you have that data. So you got to have those facts, and you got to have it so that everybody on that one team can see them, right? I don't want to hide anything. So IT's got a level of effort. If my level of effort is estimated wrong, call me on it. That's okay. I'll tell you how I did it. If there's a better way, let's have that conversation. So conference room pilot, we do that, capture the requirements, put them in the tool so that everybody can see them. Everybody's allocated a certain amount of hours. We know what that is. And we prioritize and we deliver as much as we can within that bucket of hours. And we prioritize those things. And sometimes we find out new things. We say, oh, geez, what are we going to do? We only have this many hours. Well, maybe this is something that we should do as a company. Maybe there's so much value in what we've discovered beyond the capacity that we planned for that we really should do it. There's a tremendous business value. And this has happened. We did this. Let's leverage change control. Let's take it up to the executive suite, and let's be real crisp about it. It's 2 bullet points. Here's the impact of this. Here's the impact from a budget and timeline perspective, and here's the value. Here's the rationale. 2 bullet points. Decision can be made like that. It's either in or out, or it's on a later release, or you figure out where to slot it. So it's that structure, that governance structure, that visibility, that trust that we had with the team actually sitting there so there were no surprises. Well, we minimized the surprises at the end of each release because at every step of the way when we were defining the requirements, we were sitting there as one team looking at the solution saying, this is what we're going to build, this is what we're going to build. Does it look okay? Is it roughly right? Yeah, it looks okay. All right, good deal. So, all right, let's lock in on requirements. This is what we're going to build. Okay, let's go now actually design that. Let's do a mock-up of it. Okay, this is what we built. This is the design. This is roughly right. Before we go and actually build this in a full-scale, on our full-scale GA platform, are we still aligned? Does this still look good? Never do you get a yes. You're always going to get, well, no, I think, I think this should be here. This should be here. Oh, hey, I didn't thought about this requirement. Let's escalate this. I think we might want to do this. I think this is worth delaying the timeline. I think this is worth more funding. I think this is worth looking at an Apex vendor, whatever the case might be, right? So we had the ability and the transparency to do that. We had the trust because everybody was looking at the same set of data and had the opportunity to have their opinion voiced and violently debate it. In fact, we encouraged escalation because you know what? I'd rather have the escalation before we go live and build something, especially if it's going to impact partners. If somebody's got a point of view and they feel very passionate and strong about it, you probably should listen. In my opinion, you should take a step back. You should listen. You should understand it and at least add that in so you understand what the potential impacts are if you don't do what they're saying. Now, I'm not saying to do it. What I'm saying is understand the point of view because you don't want to go live with something and go, oh, my God. Why did we do that? Oh, geez, Joe told me that was going to happen, and we didn't listen. And now Joe's mad. Joe doesn't feel like he's part of the team. You got to have that trust. You got to have that transparency, and those voices need to be heard. Now there's a balancing act, right? Always, and this comes down to the individual. I mean, occasionally you'll get somebody that just doesn't buy in anything, and that's a whole different that's a whole different story. I'd say, virtually everybody on the team, the collective team, was extremely passionate and extremely reasonable, which is a good balance to have. So we were able to kind of make decisions and come to the right course of action. Not necessarily consensus, because some people still disagreed with the path, but we had our direction, and we had the management chain, we had the trust and the transparency and the tool that we were actually seeing what was going to be delivered so that we were all on a common theme, marching to the same beat, minimizing any surprises of what's going to be delivered. Because the last thing, and that goes to Salesforce.com and the whole SaaS model, the rapid design of the tool affords you the opportunity to actually make the changes and see what they're going to look like and share them with the business, customers, partners, whoever, and actually be able to see what's going to happen. So we took advantage of that. It's not the traditional, hey, here's my requirements, IT. Okay, we'll take your requirements, and we're going to interpret what you mean, and we're going to build something over here. And then we build it, and we say, hey, don't you like it? I mean, I've been in that situation a lot, and it's not gonna work. You don't have to do that in this model. You don't have to do that with Salesforce. It's a different mode of delivery. So again, 3 things. Governance and organization have a clear path for folks. For us, we had one capability lead globally that their responsibility was to define the requirements, confirm the design, and confirm the build. That's what they did. They owned it. And when they had issues or when we had contention or when we had change requests that needed to be looked at, and we all felt they needed to be looked at, we had executive sponsorship, and I called it the bat phone. I said, this is fine if we want to deliver this. We're under tight time frames. I got to go ugly, go early. I need a bat phone to you, Mr. Executive, Mr. Todd Abbott, because I might have to call you and say, these are the 2 bullet points. This is what we got. What do you want to do? Fortunately, our management team does make those decisions quickly, and we were able to kind of keep our schedule. Governance, transparency, and knowledge. Share it. Make sure everybody kind of knows what you're doing, can see the requirements, can touch them, can feel them, knows the level of effort that you're putting towards them. If they question it, that's okay. Educate them. Why is it this way? Maybe the level of effort isn't right. We've had that happen. Not perfect. We're not perfect. Have those conversations. Allow for that interaction. It will build the trust. It will build the team. And then actually seeing what you're building within the tool, I think is so you're well aligned. So those are the kind of three things from my perspective that really helped Avaya deliver our release 2, 3, and 4 both effectively and efficiently. Right? So you can do it real efficient, and you can say, these are your requirements, and this is what we're going to build. Done. Okay, we're going to go build it efficient. We can be done in 2 months. Done. Right? That's easy. Is that effective? Well, because what you might build might not be of any business value at all. So you need to have it be effective. You need to have it be effective and efficient. And I truly believe that the model that we took in the governance process and having Salesforce requirements in the tool so people could see it in the CRP process allowed us to deliver it both effectively and efficiently. Well, now I figured it out. So what we accomplished in 6 months. So our first release was significant. And it's funny because I see Go Ugly, Go Early, and I'll never forget this. And I think, Don, you were in the room when this happened. So Todd Abbott, our president of sales, coined the term, Go Ugly, Go Early. Go Ugly, Go Early. Go Ugly, Go Early. And we're like, all right, we're going ugly, we're going early. Yeah, we're going to do it. Here are some things. Here's some risks. This is what's going to be ugly because we have to go early. And then on the weekend that we were all in the war room delivering it, Todd came in to inspire us. And I'll never, I don't know if you were there, but I'll never forget this. He walked in the room, he goes, all right, guys, good job. This is great. Keep going. Go ugly, go early. And then he went to leave, and he goes, but it better be right. And we all went, well, what does that mean? Like, he left the room, and we're all, we were all like, well, what does that mean? What does it mean he's going to go right? It ended up being a very successful launch. It was very well received. And as you can see, these are actually dated. We're through the roof on this at this point. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to someone who is an integral part of the team, Susan Gauch. You want the thing?
No, I'll just use this. This is fine. So thank you, Sean. So as Sean mentioned, it was my pleasure to work with the folks at Avaya on their Salesforce.com implementation. So I just want to kind of show you a little bit of what we have here. Okay. So where I am right now is I've actually logged into the partner portal. So I'm logged in as a partner, and you can see here that I'm on the leads tab. And so if I were to go ahead and kind of do what partners typically do in the portal, which is register leads, look at content, look at their business plans, I'm going to go ahead and start out just by creating a lead. So when I go to do that, you'll see that I actually have two choices as a partner to create a lead. And I'm going to be asked whether or not I've partnered with Avaya on this lead. So it asks me if the lead is a result of an Avaya-funded or co-funded activity, or if this is something that I'm bringing to the table myself. Because in that case, I have a different screen that will appear to me, and I can apply for incentives and make sure that I'm registering my deal the right way. So if I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, this was in fact something that Avaya and I worked on together, I'm going to go ahead and click go. And you'll see here that we've got fields that are required. And the nice thing as we go through and you'll see is that once I've gone ahead and created this lead as a partner, I can log in from an Avaya perspective, and I'll see exactly what this partner logged in the system. So there's no differentiation between what the partner's putting into the system and what I, as an internal Avaya channel manager or direct sales rep, would be able to see in the system. So if we go through, I would be able to go ahead and kind of enter in all the mandatory information. So for ease of data entry, I've got a lead that I've already created that I'm just going to cancel out of here and go back to my lead screen. And I'll just show you what this looks like. So we can see that I've got the information entered into the system that Avaya has required me as a partner to be able to do that. And I've got the full lead capability in terms of I can create activities for myself or for my channel manager to help me with this particular lead. If I'm going ahead and going to make a call to this person, I can go ahead and log a call. If I want to attach information to this lead to help me perhaps in my deal registration with Avaya, I can do that. When I'm ready to convert the lead to an opportunity, I can click this Ready to Convert and convert the lead to an opportunity. But let's take a step back and say, you know, I've entered in this lead, but I'm really not quite sure about particular processes. Maybe I'm new to Salesforce.com with Avaya, and I'm not quite sure how to use the system. So if that were the case, what I can do is I can just go right over here to this Content tab. And using the quick search capability that I have over here on the left-hand side of the screen, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to find out what kind of training materials are available to me as a partner. So I'm going to click on this training materials. And these are all of the training materials that are available to me. I can go ahead and look at this PRM Partner View User Guide because perhaps there's something about deal registration that I can go ahead and I can look at. So I can click on that and I can download that if I want to. I could also take a look at, perhaps I need some training on my business plans. So if I click on that, I'll be able to, oh, maybe not. Sorry, I'm in a test system, so it looks like my preview capability isn't working. But in any event, I could download this particular piece of content. I could subscribe to it. So let's say as Avaya is giving me new versions of this particular piece of content, I can automatically get alerted as a partner that this is available to me. So with the combination of having content available to me as well as my actual deal registration, I'm able to stay within the PRM portal and not only get the training that I need to complete my deal registration, but then I can go right into the system and do that deal registration. Additionally, if I wanted to give feedback to Avaya about the partner program or about Salesforce.com, I can click on the Ideas tab and I can go ahead and enter in an idea that Avaya can take and take my feedback and give me results back on that idea. Additionally, if I wanted to find out another partner who perhaps has some capability in an area that I don't, I can use the Partner Finder and I can find that particular partner as well. So these are all things that are all available to me from within the partner portal. And if I were to go ahead and just go back and look at what Avaya sees, Avaya internal folks see, I'm just going to back out here a second. Maybe. It doesn't seem to be letting me. Let's see. So this is what I wanted. So this is actually what Avaya internal users are seeing. So if I'm the channel manager that's working with Jack Duval as his channel manager, I'm able to see the detail of Jack's record. I could also go in and look at the leads that Jack has entered. So I'd be able to see those particular leads by going onto the Leads tab. And as Jack were to convert that lead to an opportunity, I, as a channel manager or as a direct salesperson, would be able to see the activities that Jack has done on that particular opportunity. I'd be able to edit information because I have the ability to edit that information. If Jack assigns me a task, I can go ahead in and I can look at that task and I can complete it. So it's really a two-way communication tool to be able to work collaboratively on this particular opportunity. So I'll see here all the leads that are available to me, as well as my partner leads. And finally, from an Avaya perspective, if I were to go and look at my dashboard, I'd be able to see from a metrics perspective the kinds of opportunities that are being registered by my partners. I could look at the number of leads that have been entered via Deal Reg. I could look at the leads that have been entered via Deal Reg but not yet converted to opportunities. So all of these metrics are available to me right within Salesforce.com because my partner's been able to go into the portal and log those leads and communicate with me through the PRM portal. Additionally, the same types of ideas that our partners are logging in the system, I, as an internal Avaya person, have the ability to review those ideas. I can contribute to those ideas as well. I can look to see if I'm a channel manager, what are the ideas that my partner is bringing to the table? Is there something that I can help them with? I could look at what content that partner has downloaded. And I could see perhaps if the partner's downloading some training materials, maybe what I need to do as a channel manager is to give that partner a call. Say, hey, I see that you downloaded the MDF training guides. Do you have, questions on the MDF process? Do you have questions on how to create a business plan? So because it's all tracked within the system, and I as a channel manager have visibility to what my partner's doing in the system, I can reach out proactively to that partner and really help to make sure they're getting the right experience with Salesforce and Avaya. So with that said, I think I'm going to turn it back to our presentation. I just want to talk about some key takeaways. As I mentioned, it was my pleasure to work with Margaret and Sean and Don and Jerry and a whole host of folks at Avaya on their PR implementation. And, as a Salesforce.com consultant, I work with a lot of customers, but, there were some things that were really impressive about the way that Avaya conducted this project over the course of the year. And some of the key takeaways that we have here, I'm not going to read them all, but what I do want to do is kind of focus on some key takeaways from my perspective. And I think that, one of the primary key takeaways is that Avaya did a really great job of understanding what they want to accomplish initially and then what they wanted to grow to. So, over the course of a year, Margaret showed you those metrics of, where they started and where they've ended up. And, where they started was a very deliberate choice, right? They wanted to focus on collaboration with the partners because that was an area that was really lacking, right? So the first go-round was really, let's take those 40 premier partners, let's pilot with them in the areas of ideas, content collaboration, business plans, MDF, because those were areas that were seen as lacking, right? And then they grew into deal registration and opportunity management and partner onboarding. So they certainly didn't try to do it all at once, but really understand what's going to deliver value, what can we deliver quickly, what can we build from a foundational perspective that we can then grow on. So it was definitely a walk, don't run mindset that really helped them build the success that they've had over the course of the year. The other key takeaway I would say is, and both Sean and Margaret have mentioned this, but, the executive sponsorship was really there. And, I don't know if you noticed, but even on the home page of our system, it says a high-touch channel-centric model, right? So that's embedded within the system. And it's not just a slogan. It's really something that they believe in and that's really informed the entire project. So that's really been key in that executive sponsorship. And I'll say to that, too, is it's not just the executive sponsorship, but, the folks that I worked with at Avaya really impressed me with their dedication and commitment. I mean, we had a truly global team, and, there would be calls at 3 a.m. somebody's time, right? And they were up, and they were involved, and they were engaged, and, you never had to worry about getting a response from someone at Avaya. That was never a problem for me as a consultant, and it was a great thing, and again, one of the key factors in success. The other thing is, don't be afraid to change the game. So, they really wanted to be high-touch channel-centric. They had the executive sponsorship, and, they wanted to transform the business. Again, it was being transformative. They weren't afraid to do that. They weren't afraid to change the game from a business perspective, but also, as Sean mentioned, from a project perspective. going to that conference room pilot approach and really saying, you know, we're not going to build a system in a silo. We're not going to get your requirements and then take them away, go behind the curtain, work our magic, and come back and show you what we made, right? We're going to work with you collaboratively. We're going to sit side by side. And that was a key to the success of the project as we went through over the course of the year. So I think those are a couple of key things that I wanted to just point out in terms of what was successful for Avaya.
I was a little afraid, by the way.
What?
You said we weren't afraid. I was a little afraid.
You didn't show it. You did not show it.
Yeah.
I didn't see a sweat. That was good. So in terms of what's next, I think Margaret's going to speak to what's next, or Sean's going to speak to what's next.
Okay. I'm just going to get back up here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So Salesforce is kind of our core central platform that everything is kind of evolving around. So we have a new channel program that we're launching. So from a corporate perspective, what's at literally the tip of the spear of our company right now is growing our channel. So how we're going to grow our channel and how our channel is going to interact with Avaya, it's going to be primarily through Salesforce. So our Release 4 is very focused on that one. We have a new pricing methodology. We really kind of took a fresh look at how we're going to market, and we're trying to be a little bit smarter about how we price things and how we can incent our distributors and SIs and really leverage the partnership. So between the channel program and the pricing methodology, those are pretty two big, you know, I call them airplanes in the air, right? So we've got kind of our Release 4 functionality, one plane in the air, low on fuel. We've got our what we call Avaya pricing methodology, another plane in the air. We've got our channel program, which is yet another plane in the air, and they're all kind of running to the same runway at the same time. So what we're trying to do is do really smart air traffic control so that none of those crash. Partner analytics, obviously, we want to really get, just like on our direct side or on our high touch side, we want to understand what's happening where the customer and our sales teams, or our customers and our partners, are actually transacting. And Salesforce is the vehicle for that. When you think about it, it's a big database. That's what it does, right? It shows, you know, here's how you want to do it, here's how you are doing it, and here are the results, right? So we want to keep a close pulse on that, and we want to take those learnings back to every aspect of our business, whether it's financial, whether it's our product roadmap, whether it's our supply chain, you name it. Every decision we make as a company should be focused on you know, how are partners receiving this, how are customers receiving this, what can we do better to serve them. I mean, at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. And then obviously Salesforce to Salesforce is something that we'll be looking at in probably the longer term. But for those partners that we have that have Salesforce, you know, it just makes sense to kind of pair those in and thread those into our instance. So that's pretty much what's it. That's pretty much it for the session. Does anybody have any questions? Sure. You know, so it's interesting. So for certain functions, no. For other functions, pretty much custom all over the board, right? So there are things that we're trying to do as a company that aren't well established. I'll give you a back-end creditor, right? Nobody's really figured that out. There's no standard out-of-the-box solution for that. We're going to have to customize that. The way we assign accounts, we had to customize. Territory manager wasn't as robust as we'd like. And those are probably two of the bigger areas of customization. Here's the thing, though, and my IT counterparts are still kind of coming around to this. Slowly, I have the conversations, and with Salesforce's help, we're turning the corner on this. But Salesforce, the way that it's built, is designed to be customized. Customization is no longer a bad word, right? So if you look back on SAP Siebel, you'd almost build your business to match your tool, right? With Salesforce, because we have the metadata, don't touch that core set of data. So we're not going to, you know, we're not going to be in trouble down the road when we go to do an upgrade or when we go to do maintenance, right? We're going to keep that core data. It's not a bad word anymore, right? We can truly have the tool meet our business needs.
Other questions? Okay, we gave you everything you need.
Look at that.
Well, thank you for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your Dreamforce experience.